All stations, this is launch control. Crew is locked and ready. Stand by for terminal count. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition confirmed. We are go for launch. We have liftoff. Taking creativity to the cosmos.
What is good, Creative Fam? Brandon Washington here, and welcome back to our 8th and sadly final episode of the Launchpad. Yo, I am so stoked about this week's episode because this is sort of like, as far as I'm concerned, this is where we get ready to go from preseason practice to now execution. First off, I'm laughing because I see Scott's in the chat and he says, are you that famous YouTuber? Scott, I'm definitely not a famous YouTuber, but Scott actually brings up a point for something that I've been doing lately. I don't know if you guys have probably peeped this if you follow me anywhere other than on YouTube, but if you've been following me over on Instagram, and now you can actually follow me over on Facebook as well, I've been showing up a lot more places because the truth is that doing this stream every single Monday night for now the last 8 weeks has secretly been a personal endeavor. See, a few months ago, I actually reached out to Ecamm, shout out to Ecamm, about this very concept for this show. It was a show designed to help creators level up and get to the next place in their creative journey. Whether they are video production companies, whether they're social media influencers, or they aspire to grow in the realm of social media, the whole purpose was to help freelance filmmakers, videographers, and content creators grow. And so I went to Ecamm and I said, I got this idea. I want to do a show for about 8 weeks where every week we bring on a new guest. And every week we bring on a guest who knows their stuff. Somebody who, we can learn from. Someone that I personally want to learn from. And a lot of these people were friends of mine, but they were people who even I, as friends, hadn't had time to really sit down and talk to and ask them the right questions. How to grow, how to actually make a big difference. And over the last 8 weeks, we have seen some amazing conversations. Just last week, we sat down with Modern Millie, and she broke down her whole strategy, her team, everybody who's in place, but then also how she posts consistently, the benefit of posting consistently, how she even comes up with her concepts. And so for this week, I wanted to sort of, take a trip down memory lane. I wanted to work with you guys today because I know when you watch a lot of educational content, it can be very easy to learn a lot, but then actually figuring out how you want to implement it becomes difficult. You get to a place that I always say where you're learning for the sake of learning, and sometimes learning can feel like you're being productive, but you're not really being productive. So this week, I wanted to sit down with you guys. You guys are my guests. So feel free, lock in, let's sit back, let's have a good show today. But today, I wanted to really talk with you guys about how we're gonna execute going into next year. Real quick, I'd love for you guys to share some of the biggest takeaways you've gotten from previous episodes. And if this is your first episode, I'd love for you to throw in the chat what you're planning on doing going into next year. Spoiler alert, if you're planning on doing it next year, I'm going to talk about you doing it today. Also, something else that's really excited about this, with this being the season finale, we have partnered with Shure tonight to be able to give away a Shure podcasting microphone. So tonight we will be giving away a Shure podcasting microphone, and the way you're going to be able to enter in order to win that is, one, you're going to rock with us for the entirety of the show because we're going to announce the winner on the second half of the show over on Ecamm side, but also it's going to come from somebody who's in the chat. So hop in, engage, communicate. I'll be picking one lucky winner out of the chat based off your engagement tonight, based off of what you're adding. If you're adding value, if you're asking questions, you don't have to know the answers, but I'd love for you guys just to engage with us tonight. So that way, hopefully you guys can start your year off right with a great microphone, just like this one. This is my Shure SM7B. And in the other room, I have my SM7DB. So that's going to be the one I'll be rocking later. Actually, I think, the SM7DB is in the other room. So really excited about giving away a microphone. Shout out to Shure. As you guys saw on my Instagram, I rock with them. This is literally the same podcast setup that we use every single Friday for the Uncensored show. And shout out to Doc in the chat, Mr. @DocRock for this Doc Pop. So if y'all want to customize your Shures, you can totally do that. All right. So with it being the new year right around the corner, I am one of those people that is always about setting yourself up for success. So when it comes to looking at the next year, you'll notice, this is something that I've been doing, and I strongly recommend this for you guys going forward. But, so many people start things in January. I find this happens all the time, whether that's like going into the gym or, starting a new fad diet or whatever it might be. People tend to love to start things in January. And what I try to do is I actually start planning my sort of New Year's resolution. I sort of start planning that in like October, November. And that's kind of what this show has been. It's been me talking to some of my favorite creators, some amazing creators who have been just crushing it on social, and learning from them and seeing what they're doing and seeing what I can apply. And then basically, I actually start doing all of that in December. So I start sort of like end of November going into December, because what that does is that allows me to give myself like a solid 30 days. So basically all of December, a solid 30-ish days of build up before the new year. Because I know one of the hardest things to do is to build momentum. And another thing that can be difficult to do is to try to build momentum in a crowded room. And we all know that come January, so many people are going to be kicking off their New Year's resolutions. They're going to be excited about, everybody and their mom's probably going to start a podcast. They're going to start posting on social media. Like January becomes a really, really busy time because everybody is so like, now is my time. I'm going to go all in. And so what I try to do is I actually secretly kind of start in December. So that way I sort of give myself a head start. It allows me to basically rush through. So that way, by the time I get to January, I've already figured out my workflows. I've already figured out, how I'm going to execute on what I'm going to execute. I've already figured out what goals are really important to me. And I can start figuring out how I'm going to be successful come January. And so what I wanted to do tonight was to really sit down with you guys and first ask you guys, what are some of the goals that you're hoping to achieve going into 2026? I think that is so important to actually notate what your goals are before you get there and actually write them down, share them with other people. And so we can be your accountability partners tonight. But in the chat, I'd love for you guys to share some of your goals. So that way we can start figuring out what we're going to do to actually go ahead and achieve some of those. Doc called it out. He said, this is the preseason. It is. December kind of becomes my preseason, but I'm going to give you guys like a little bit of like insider information, insider secrets, I guess. If you have any goals to try to do anything, especially online, December is kind of the perfect time to start, not January, for one main reason. If you've been doing social media for a while, one thing that you notice is that in January, naturally, things sort of take a dip. And that's across everything. That's across views. That's across whatever. And that's because of a few reasons. And some that I just kind of think. The main one is that most brands are going to spend their money in December. So content gets pushed harder in December because there's ads attached to it. So you're just going to see more content coming out in December. And brands are more likely to sponsor creators and to push stuff out. But also people have more free time in December, so they're consuming more. Come January, you're back in work. Some people have New Year's resolutions to get off of social media or, to work out more, or they're just busier. They're trying to do their thing. And so if your goal is to create content, starting in January is actually more difficult than starting in December because in December you have more eyeballs, more opportunity. But in January, everybody's trying to do their own thing. So it's just harder in general to actually try to grow during that time. So starting in December allows you to not only get out ahead, but also when it comes to things like, for example, building a community, it is much easier to connect and to build that community and to foster that community in December than it is in January when everybody else is also fighting for that attention. You can go ahead and start growing and getting everything lined up now. So that way, by the time you get to January, it doesn't feel like it's something new. It just feels like something that was already happening. So that's one of the big reasons. But then also, when it comes to trying to figure out what you want to do, January in turn is also just a busy season because there's the pressure of the New Year's resolution. And I have personally found that when it comes to, setting goals or trying to do something new, you want to try to take as much pressure off yourself as you possibly can. And so if you do, then one of the ways you can do that is easily by doing it in December. Because if you do it in December, no one's expecting anything. If you start posting every single day or you start posting content, no one's thinking that you're trying to do it, and you don't have that pressure on you either. So it makes it much easier to be successful when there's less eyeballs on you. And December is a perfect time to do that. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to hop into the chat really quick. Shout out to APC Productions. I see you in here. He says his goal for 2026 is $1 million in revenue with 30% bottom end profit. Bro, that's such a good goal. I think it's so important that when it comes to having your goals for the year, like a lot of people put the goal down or, I want to make more money. But to have a very specific target number is so important because it allows you to see how close you're getting versus just saying, I want to make a lot of money. So I think the way you can pinpoint that is perfect. Doc says, I'm going to swing to 100K on YouTube via more lives and shorts. Doc, I will tell you, the goal of 100K on YouTube is so solid. The one thing I'll push you on is definitely doing those more live streams. Today, actually, based off of something you told me, Doc, I actually went live on Instagram today. Now, I haven't gone live on Instagram, but maybe, 2, maybe 3 times all year. But Doc had mentioned on another one of our previous shows that we should be all going live more, even if it's something as simple as building out your camera. So I've got a shoot tomorrow, and in case y'all did not see our show on Friday, I just got in the Raptor XE, feeling incredibly blessed. Red was nice enough to send that thing out for me because they know the whole situation about my camera getting stolen. So they sent this camera out to me on loan, and I've got a job tomorrow, and I'm shooting on the XE. And so I was literally I was about to unbox it, and I was about to put the whole thing together, sort of prepping for my shoot tomorrow. And Doc's voice just sort of rang in my ear that says, you should at least go live and just showcase this. And so I did. I did like a little quick 20-minute live stream. And what's crazy is even on Instagram, it actually shows you some metrics. And like over 1,000 people tapped in and watched me go live. I think I peaked at like 40-something people watching at any given time though. But while I was live, I was able to answer questions. I was able to, help anybody who had any questions about the camera, or we actually talked a little bit about insurance too and things like that. And it just allowed for an opportunity where I could have easily just been here in my office, put the camera together, call it a day. It allowed me to, communicate and connect with our community. And the more you can do that, the more successful I think you'll be overall, and the more successful you can help other people be. So, Doc, I'm 100% down with you. I love your idea of doing more live streams. And yes, putting out more shorts. That's actually one thing I learned from one of our guests that we had on. Tyrese was on a few weeks ago, and Tyrese actually mentioned how, Tyrese is actually a musician. Well, he's an entertainer in general, but he's a musician. And one of the things that he taught us was that he has been posting videos of him playing Wordle. And he has built this massive audience now over on TikTok around him playing Wordle. And what's insane is that now that he's grown that audience, he has since started to repurpose that content from TikTok over onto Instagram and over onto YouTube. And like, when I tell y'all, he has now since grown a secondary YouTube channel that is now well crossed over 10,000 new followers in just a matter of like a month or so. And it's all coming from repurposed content. So it's so crazy that you mentioned do more lives and shorts. Doc, for me, one of the things that I want to do this year is I've already started over on my Instagram. It's just posting more reels because Instagram is sort of my home platform. But like to what Scott was saying earlier, his joke of am I a famous YouTuber? That's because I've been starting to post my content over on Facebook because my goal now is I want to create a short a day, or an Instagram reel a day, and then repurpose that content across all of my platforms. And what's crazy is I've already seen my TikTok account grow. My TikTok account is about to cross over 8,000 followers over on TikTok, where I was completely stagnant on that channel because I was not posting consistently. And so seeing the fact that your goal is to start posting more and to get to 100K on YouTube, I fully believe that is possible. And if you're repurposing your content, kind of like, what we learned through Millie and through Tyrese, like if we're repurposing that content, it's going to allow us to hit those goals so much faster. So shout out to you, Doc. I appreciate you throwing that in there. Oh, Lord, I see it already. They say Sony gang in the house. Listen. Sony gang. Y'all bad. It's okay. Better luck next year. All right, let me see. What other goals? Anybody else throw their goals in the chat? Let me see. Next session said, I'll be finishing up my short film project I started this year and entering into my first short film competition. Dude, that's so awesome. And I'm actually right there with you. I actually shot a short, the night that my stuff got stolen, we wrapped up a short film. And we are in the exact same boat, finishing up that short film. And while I have all these social media goals this year, I think I'm right there with you. Like, I think one of my goals going into next year is to create more art that I'm proud of and to share that. And so I have a goal for a certain amount of short films that I want to shoot next year. And just to keep getting that practice in. Because obviously the goal one day is to be able to start shooting my own features. As y'all know, this year I did complete my goal of shooting my first feature ever, but it wasn't mine, it was somebody else's. And so one of my goals is to shoot my own feature. And so I want to continue to strive for that. And so I'm super excited to see that that's one of your goals as well. Eddie said that 2025 was a proof of concept. 2026 is the execution. I'll be... what does that say? I'll be counting on exposure offers and come back with a value and price. Ooh, that's so good. I love it when you know what you're in the middle of. There's definitely a season like what we call off season or preseason. And then when you're in the game. And like for the last few months, I've been in preseason and I know right now it's time to get into the game. So that's so sick. Congratulations, man. I wish you nothing but the best on that. Let's see. Bray says, I'm really trying to get more systems in place for content creation. Dude, systems when it comes to content creation is the cheat code. 100%. Now, I will tell you, a lot of times it can be easy to sit back and try to wait until you have the systems in place to start creating. But for me, what I have learned is that you can absolutely just start the creative process and try to create as much as you possibly can. And once you start to figure out where those roadblocks are, that's when you know what systems you need to put in place. For example, when me and Jarrell started the Uncensored podcast, we knew we wanted to go live every single Friday. Now, from jump, I knew that I wanted to be able to, post clips from the show and post shorts from the show. And I didn't really know how I was going to be able to pull that off, but I knew that was something I wanted to do. And so we were doing the show, but while we were doing the show, those things weren't happening. And that's when it hit me like, okay, I need to figure out a system for this. So I tried everything. I tried using AI. I tried using hired help. I tried putting multiple people on it, tried doing it myself. And I realized that I became the bottleneck. And I'll tell you what worked out for me was actually a little bit of both. You know, every week on this show, we've talked about how creators are using AI. And I'll tell you guys, one of the ways that I've been using AI is actually a mix with a hire and AI. So what we've been doing is every time we go live on a Friday, I have an editor who uses an AI software called Opus Clips. And that's how we actually go about getting out all of our shorts. And then he also takes those moments and edits those into clips that we then post over onto YouTube. And the other thing that we do is we use AI to help us with the thumbnail process. So like, for example, the reel that the clip that we posted today, the thumbnail is an actual photo of me, like that's really me. But then sometimes what we put inside the square becomes sort of a AI version of a camera, or we use AI to sort of just like enhance the thumbnail in some manner. And so the one advice I'd give at this point, something that I know I'm doing, is I am constantly at this point trying to just create as much as I can so I can do two things. I can, one, learn what works and figure out what works best for the audience. But then two, it also allows me to figure out what areas I need to implement some type of a system that can help make the content creation process happen even faster. So shout out, man. Appreciate that. Doc said, also in December, many people say they are burned out and need a break, making more space for the bulletproof creators. Yeah. I mean, December is such a great time, I believe, to actually start like throwing your content in there. If you can absolutely do that, I say go for it. Mr. Camera Junkie said 25 people watching, only 7 likes. Yo, Mr. Camera Junkie said don't be a trash can. I didn't say it. He said it. So hit that like button. And then congratulations. Next session, he says just bought the R5C last week. Let's go. Congratulations, man. All right. So, what's good, bro? What's good? Hey, what's good, Mike? Good to see you in here. All right. So yeah, any other goals that you guys have, throw those in the chat. What's up, John? I see you in there as well. Eddie says in 2026, his goal is to land 3 recurring gigs per quarter. Q4 looks solid. Now it's about filling up Qs 1 through 3. Bro, I think it's like knowing that is the goal helps out so much. Because I have something similar for my production company. Like having a few clients on retainer absolutely helps you because it allows you to, one, know where your income is coming from, but two, it allows you to structure your business and your time. So I 100% recommend, trying to get those clients and get them locked in and getting them locked in on that quarterly basis. That's definitely the way to go. What did he say? He says, which AI program makes a good beard? A good beard like you. Bro, this is just natural. I don't know. It's not even brushed all the way down today. But you can use Nano Banana, and you can tell it to throw a nice beard on yourself, and you'll be good. King Kirk says goal is to chop it up with Unc, Jarrell, and B-Wash live. Doc, they talking about you. Yo, they we would love to hang out with you guys. I know one of our goals for next year is to show up and be able to spend more time at the different convention centers. I don't think Doc's going to be able to make it this year, but because I think Doc was saying he can't make it to NAB this year, but I do know that Jarrell and I have plans to go to NAB next year. We also are going to be at Cine Gear next year as well. And then last year we went to the Build Expo in New York, and that went so well. But we were only there for, no kidding, like less than 24 hours. So the plan this year is going to be able to go to New York for at least a few days. at least a few days to be able to make sure that, we can be able to spend time with everybody and actually hang out and make it like an actual trip. What did he say? He says, everybody, please, everyone, leave mobile chats, leave a like, and then get back in chat. Oh, you talking about for the chats on the actual stream. Oh, yeah, outside the stream. That's pretty dope. John said, in 2026, goal is to land first playing client, putting CFA mentorship into real-world practice. Late, but still motivated. Bro, John, your work is good. I honestly think you're just ready. You just got to ask. You're right there, John. You're right there. Go ahead and get it. And then Doc did confirm. He says, I'm going to be in the UK. Bro, what you doing in the UK? I want to go to the UK. I've actually never been to the UK. That'd be fire. All right. So when it comes to sort of building out our brands, or building out our production companies for next year, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that we have been talking about all week or all season, and that has been utilizing AI. Now, I would love for you guys to share what AI tools you guys have been using in the chat, because I feel like we can all learn and grow from each other's. But I think that utilizing AI in our businesses is going to help us out a ton, especially going into next year. Now, one thing that I did think that was pretty interesting, every creator that I brought on the show, when we talked about AI, all of them unanimously was utilizing AI in some fashion in their business. But one thing that I did find interesting was that no person had like the exact same line drawn in the sand when it comes to AI, where they would use it or where they wouldn't. And so for that, I think it's very cool that, creators can decide, like you as a creator should decide when and where and how you want to utilize AI. I'll tell you guys, for me, especially after this week or after this season, talking to all these different creators, a few places that I have started to implement AI is obviously, I think it's sort of the standard ChatGPT, but thanks to Doc every single week, and actually I think he just put it in here, he said Claude. Claude has been something that wasn't initially on my radar when it came to a AI platform, but I've heard that Claude is so good when it comes to like writing. And so I've been like playing around with it now for the first time. And so that's one thing I would say is that, utilizing different AI tools and starting to play around with them and not getting comfortable just in the ones that you've been using is super, super helpful. Something else that I've been doing is I've been utilizing Higgsfield. So Higgsfield is like an AI, like it's its own AI platform, image and photo and video generation, but it also brings all the other ones together as well. So we're talking Nano Banana, we're talking Google VO3, Soul, all of them. And so I've been using that a lot. And that's where I actually been using to create a lot of my images, because it allows me to use different AI tools and use different generators. And so that's one that I've been using a lot. And then another way that I've been using AI quite a bit has been in sort of like what Doc has been doing with Notion AI. And that is sort of to help structure my business. Back in the day, they used to say, like, when it comes to like hiring somebody, the way you should go about the hiring process is you should figure out what you'd like to do the least and then try to hire out for that. But what I have found is the thing that takes me the most amount of time, I want to go look to see if there's an AI tool that can assist me in that process. And so even, for example, there's an AI tool that I started using, and I don't use it all the time, just full transparency. I don't use it all the time. But when I do find projects that it works out well for, it's super helpful. And that's a program called Gling.io. Gling.io is like a AI editor. Now, it's not perfect, but what I do love about it is that it's really good at cutting out the bad takes. It also can cut out things like and ahs if you want that kind of thing cut out. I normally like to leave them in because I like my videos to feel more like me, and I naturally have all those filler words and stuff, like that. But one thing that I also love about it is that it'll actually allow you to export the timeline out of Gling. So everything that it does, it's almost not like a Descript or something along those lines. It's something that more so like sort of pre-edits your video for you and then gives you a timeline that you can then go in and edit even more on your own behalf. And that is super, super nice. And it works, even better, especially when you're doing scripted videos. Now, I don't always do scripted videos because the truth is that to do a scripted video for me is kind of difficult because y'all know I'm dyslexic. And so reading out loud and on a teleprompter isn't my strong suit. But a lot of times for like short form creation or especially for like an ad read or something along those lines, being able to write an ad, send that off to the brand, get them to approve it, and then shooting it is just easier. And so for those situations, I love using Gling because it will not only edit your video, but if you actually upload your script to it, it actually allows it to know what exactly to look for, and it cuts your video together so much better. Now, you can absolutely ramble, and it will figure it out. But I find that when you give it a script, man, it works so good. Doc just seconded that. He says Gling is sick with it. Bro, it's so helpful. And so for anybody out there who's just trying to, because I totally understand it. I'm a working professional. Like I said, I have a shoot tomorrow. We have a shoot. We got to be there at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. No, wait, tomorrow I got an 8 a.m. Call time. The next day we have a 7 a.m. call time for a whole nother project. But as a working professional who's also trying to put out content on social media on a regular basis and try to stay consistent, utilizing these AI tools go a really, really long way, and finding the right ones that work for you is super helpful. And so what I tell most people to do, especially when it comes to like looking at AI tools, go in, figure out which AI tools you want to try, and allow yourself like a certain amount of time. Let's call it, a month. And test as many of them as you can pay for, especially the ones that cost a lot of money. Test as many as you can, figure out which ones you really like, and then lock in with those for at least 3 to 6 months. And set a time. Say, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to rock with these AI tools for the next 3 months, and I'm going to really go all in with them. And what you'll find is that during those 3 months, you get really proficient in those tools, and they become super helpful. You actually start changing your workflow to actually benefit those tools and to work better within those tools. And once you do that, you actually start seeing drastic increases in what you're doing. So I would 100% would say, start locking in on some tools. Those are the main ones that I'm using right now. And then obviously the biggest one is Photoshop, but Photoshop with generative AI built in, especially now that the Photoshop beta has Nano Banana built in, it has made the process of making thumbnails and, editing images so much easier. So yeah, absolutely would do that. John says, Brandon, you are the one that got me started with it on this AI journey. Dude, I have been a proponent of AI since day one. And I don't necessarily have a hard and fast line when it comes to AI. I will use it in image generation. I'll use it in photo generation. I don't really care. For me, where I guess I would draw a line when it comes to AI is once the audience or once our community or whoever I am trying to reach is put off by the work, that's where we draw the line. And honestly, the truth is that's where I draw the line on everything. There is this idea of, what makes something cinematic. And I have clients that I'll shoot for. And like, if I shot them with like super harsh contrast, 2:1 with anamorphic, and I had flares and all this stuff, none of that's AI, right? But the client would not like it. And so the same rule applies to me when it comes to AI. It's you take it as far as somebody will consume it and will actually like the product that you're putting out there. And I believe in myself as a creator that AI is just a tool that sort of assists me. And so what I have been standing on since day one is, as creators, you are a creator and you should be able to utilize AI as a tool, and it will never replace you when you're the one using it. Like a hammer never replaces a actual, contractor. It just allows a contractor to be a better contractor. So absolutely utilize those tools. Get after it. Central Entertainment says, Brandon would take a gig tonight at 10 p.m. after the stream. You ain't wrong, dog. You're not wrong, because we are in hustle mode time. Like, the truth is that I am a working professional, and it is hustle season. So as y'all know, when my stuff got stolen, I mean, obviously I was already in hustle mode. I'm always in hustle mode because, like Doc says, I came from Wish sandwiches. All right. Like, I remember served sandwiches. If you know, you know. So if, so I am always down to work. I am always down to work. But that's the reason why I love doing this show. I love hanging out with you guys. Let's see. How should I get my first paying gig client for an interview type project? All right. So I will answer this one fairly quickly. But if your goal is to start doing something and to be compensated for it, you have to start doing it before you're willing to get, or before you're going to be compensated for it. So the first thing I would ask you is, do you have quality interview type work? And quality is always subjective, but the way you'll know if it's quality is once people actually once people are desiring that type of content from you. And so the only way to get there is to just keep doing it, keep getting better, and putting it out there. And so if you don't have any of that kind of work, just like with a show like this, or just like with anything, you have to go ahead and do it. I will say that it is a blessing to get a chance to work with a company like Ecamm to produce a show like this. But I can tell you, this show and Ecamm would never want to work with me, or would never happen, if I hadn't already been doing shows before. Nobody paid us to make Uncensored as a show. That was never an option. Like, no one ever paid us to do Uncensored. We just did it. But it became the proof of concept that has since allowed me to go on to be able to sell the ability to do shows like this one, like Uncensored, and like what we did on Ecamm's channel, Anatomy of a Live Stream. It allowed us to show that we could do this. So if you have aspirations to do anything in this world, I would say start doing it for yourself first, because one, you're going to get the practice. But then two, it's going to give you something to showcase anybody who is thinking about hiring you to do that thing. So you have to absolutely have that to get started. And then Doc says, if you know, you know. Big facts on those Wish sandwiches. All right. So we talked a lot about AI this season. But another thing that we talked a lot about was sort of those difficult choices. We had a segment called Cosmic Choice this season. And in that segment, I would ask, our guests of the day, would they rather do this or would they rather do that? And the reason why I like to ask those difficult questions is because I think that, when it comes to your creative business, you are as much of what you say yes to as to what you say no to. And so when it comes to your creative business, when it comes to your creative journey, I'm going to ask you guys to throw out in the chat. This one's going to maybe be a little hard. So I want you guys to definitely tap in on this one and throw them in the comments if you're watching this on the replay. But I would love to hear, what are you saying no to this year or this season? What are you saying no to? To me, I think that is one of the hardest things. But once you know what you're saying no to, it absolutely drastically changes your business. I'll tell you guys what I'm going to say no to this year, but I'm going to tell you guys one of the things I said no to in the past. So as running a video production company, you obviously want to make money for shooting videos, right? And that means you could do anything. You could shoot, as we talked about earlier, corporate interview style stuff. You could shoot real estate. You could also shoot weddings. You could also shoot music videos. And I'll tell you, those two things are big items that I said no to. This is why I say it's so important to know what you do and what you don't do. Now, can I shoot a wedding? Absolutely. And I've shot weddings. But a few years ago, I decided that I'm just going to start saying no to weddings, and I'm going to start saying no to music videos, because for me, the low budget music videos were so difficult. There was so much work. They were underpaid, and creative never was exactly what I wanted. Weddings, well, it was just a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a whole lot of work, and it was super emotional, and I was booking things a year in advance. And by the time I got to the wedding, I didn't really want to do the wedding anymore. So I wasn't really passionate about them anymore. So I started saying no. But what that did was it allowed me to really dive in deep into what I wanted to say yes to, and to focus on the things I wanted to say yes to. And so knowing what you're going to say no to is so important, because it allows you to focus on the yes. So I told you guys, while you guys are throwing in the chat what you're going to say no to, go ahead and tell me what you're going to say no to. I'll tell you guys what I'm saying no to next year, which I'm sure is going to surprise a lot of you. But I already knew I was saying no to this like early this year. And I was kind of planting seeds that this is what I was going to do. But going into next year, the thing that I am saying no to is I will not be changing my camera package for the entire year of 2026 unless, something catastrophic happens, right? And so what I mean by that is I have decided for 2026, I am going to be utilizing the Nikon Z Cinema signature cameras, right? And so for me, that means the Nikon ZR, and thanks to now Red sending out the XE, I'm going to be using the Raptor XE for as long as they'll let me hold on to it, right? And those are going to be my camera systems for the year. That means, now that doesn't mean that I won't test other cameras, and that doesn't mean I won't use other cameras, but like I know where my home base is. So I'm not going to be like trying to change lenses or swap systems in the middle of the year, or, Canon just came out with this thing, or, Fuji just came out with this thing, or Lumix just came out with this thing. Like, I've decided that I don't want to focus on the gear of cameras and lenses as much this year as I want to focus on being able to create more. And I know some of you guys probably have the same mentality that I have. And it's like, oh, once I get this piece of gear, then I'll be able to do X, right? Or, oh man, like if I only could buy this lens, then I would do X. For me, this year, I know that has like slowed me down. That has slowed down my process. I am so happy with the ZR right now, and so happy with Red. Obviously, I've been happy with Red for years. That like I know that's the system that I want to run for right now. And so instead of focusing on the gear for this next year, I want to try to output as much as I can with the gear that I have. And so by allowing myself to say, we are saying no to eyeballing new systems this year for our creative process, our creative workflow, I am hoping that allows me to say yes to create more this next year. And so if you guys see an explosion of content, I mean, you guys have probably already seen it. I've been posting every day on Instagram for like the last 2 weeks. And that's because I've decided I'm just going to use what I got. And a lot of that even includes just shooting on my iPhone. Like, you'd be surprised how much I'm getting done with just my iPhone. It's kind of crazy. But by saying no to eyeballing new gear, it is allowing me to say yes to creating more with the existing gear that I have. So I'm sure that's going to ruffle some feathers, but it's good to know what you're saying no to. Will says, I said no to weddings in 2022 and never looked back. Bro, I think I was, it's probably like 2021, 2022 is probably about the same time for me. Because, obviously when 2020 happened, you couldn't really do weddings. And 2020 was one of those hustle seasons where it was like, you got to make money somehow. But yeah, it was definitely nice to be able to say no to weddings when I could. Says, I say no to weddings too. It's not my passion. Right there with you. Just yesterday, I was offered a free seat ticket valued at up to $100 to shoot a Christmas court. I respectfully declined. You know, what you say no to is so important. I think it's absolutely grind. I think it's an absolute grind. You got to be able to say that. Nobody wants to grind wedding. You know, there's some people, King Kirk, there's some people who love weddings. My boy Porter, Justin Porter, he loves weddings. Now, I will say, recently, it feels like he loves more just documentary storytelling. So we'll see how his wedding stuff goes, but that man loves weddings. I don't get it. Brian says, oddly, I'm saying yes and no to social media. No to consuming, yes to creating. You know, I think it's so important as a creator to have a healthy balance with consumption and creativity, especially when it comes to social media. I am one of those people who I know if I've been over consuming, I have to stop and I have to create. So one of the things, sorry, not Brian, Bray. One thing that I have done is, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, I've been posting every day on Instagram. And so one of my personal rules on any given day is, and this is, I mean, I don't think I've told anybody this yet. This kind of was just like something just for me, but I'll let you guys in on it. I don't allow myself to start consuming social media until I've posted for the day. So as I said, I post every single day, right? And so if I don't post until like 1:00, I don't scroll until 1:00. So some days I definitely want to consume, you know? So on those days, I try to get my posts out as early as I can. But that's sort of like an internal thing. Like, I don't allow myself to consume any social media until I've at least created a piece of content and put it out for the day. But I love that one. Mr. Camera Junkie says, I'm saying no to mediocrity. Love that. Doc says, hot take. Uh-oh. What is he going to say now? Says, hot take. Say no to new gear unless it's already paid for or paid for by the client. Right there with you, Doc. John says, no more pro bono work. Dude, 100%. That's what you should be saying no to. There hasn't really been a crap camera made in the last 4 to 5 years. All cameras can make you money. Danny says, create more, consume less. Right there with you. I got a client shooting on a G7 from like 11 years ago, made more than $500K in 2025. That's my goal, Doc. I want to make $500K for my iPhone. Don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm about to figure it out. Yeah, that's a tough one. I had to fight through that for years. Stuck with Sony A7S III for 5 years and loved it. But now Brandon got me halfway switching to Nikon. You ain't halfway. Don't lie to the people. You all the way. Sell that camera and go and make the jump. You'll be happy. Central says, how much are people paying for full day weddings? I don't even know anymore. I genuinely don't even know what their going rate is at this point, because it's been that long since I've done it. Says, I think a lot of creators want to buy less, create more, but that's what I said. That's what I said weeks already, and I bought another new bag. It's hard though. Yeah, it is tough. It is tough, but that's where I think you have to give yourself like rules. You know what I mean? Like, and it can't be like, I think vague rules are so difficult to stay on board with. Like, if you tell yourself, I want to consume less and I want to create more. But what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean on a daily basis? Like, do you tell yourself you only have like an hour to consume a day? And then like, what do you mean you're going to create more? Like, what does that look like? And so I think giving yourself hard and fast rules that you can apply on a daily basis goes a really long way. And so that's why I say, like, if you allow yourself like a rule, like I have, which is okay, I can consume social media because I enjoy it, and I'm not going to pretend like the dopamine spike to my brain doesn't feel good, right? So if your goal is to be able to create more than you consume, well, then maybe set a rule that says, I'm not going to consume social media today until I've created something for social media. And maybe that's something as simple as just posting to your stories to just get started, but then eventually working that way up to a reel or some photo carousels or posting on threads or, whatever. And then once you get there, then you say, okay, now I want to practice repurposing my content. And so instead of trying to do like everything all at once, give yourself small steps to get you to where you want to be. Let's see. Danny says, Brandon, what lens do you recommend for vlogging? I use the Canon RF lens, prefer 2.8. I think honestly any wide lens will get you by today. I mean, Canon's got a 16 millimeter 1.8 prime RF. It's like a little pancake lens. That would probably be a really solid one to go with. And then it wouldn't matter what camera you're using. Doc says retail therapy is part of ADHD. If you keep spending, go to talk to a therapist for real. No cap. Retail therapy. Is that a thing? Is that why I like buying stuff, Doc? Saying no to threads in 2026. Deleted it in September, and I don't even miss it. As a dyslexic person, Kofi, I never get on threads. It's basically reading a book for fun. That's wild. What does this one say? Okay, yeah. So Kofi, I'm 100% with you. If you have a social media platform that you don't thoroughly enjoy, just get off of it. It's not necessary for you. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's so important this year is that you know what you're going to say yes to and you know what you're going to say no to. All right. Now, I told you guys that, this episode or this show of, the Launchpad, we've been doing this now for 8 weeks. And one of my favorite things about doing this show is our ability to not only learn, but to also give up. So I want to warn you guys right now, here in just a little bit, we're going to do what we do every single week, which is we start the show right here on this YouTube channel, and then we blast off over to Ecamm's channel to finish it. But when we get over to Ecamm's channel, we're going to be giving away a Shure microphone tonight. So we're going to be giving away one microphone tonight. If you want the chance to win that microphone, make sure you head over to the Ecamm channel with us. You don't actually have to do anything. You can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. YouTube will automatically take you from this channel over to Ecamm's channel, where we're going to be doing the giveaway. But if you need to hop over there earlier, or if you're watching this on the replay and you want to be able to get over there, the link to the second part of the stream is down below in the description. But before we take off over to Ecamm's channel, I do want to preference, a lot of creators have the goal to grow, or a lot of videographers, filmmakers, they have the goal to grow their video business. And I want to encourage every videographer that I know who's watching this on replay, who's watching this stream, that I can tell you from firsthand, and I'm sure Kofi can probably attest to this as well. If you run a video production company or you are running a videography business, I am going to heavily recommend that going into next year, start figuring out a process, a plan, a strategy to start creating content for yourself as well. This year, as y'all know, I have had the ups and downs of a year. Like, I started this year great, then things kind of got slow, then things got better, then things got really bad, and now things are getting better again. But, things are getting better in a large way because of this amazing community that I've built online and that we have all collectively come together to do. And so I will tell you that, this year, I would strongly recommend that you guys start building that new community, start building your social media, start building a business that is set aside from your clients. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in social media, but starting to think that way through is sort of something I'm going to implore each and every one of you. And that's actually what we're going to be talking about once we head over to Ecamm's channel. So we're going to blast off from here over to Ecamm's channel. We're going to be giving away a microphone, and we're going to be talking about some things that we can do specifically in the social media space in order to grow. And so without further ado, sit back, relax. Let's head over to Ecamm's channel and let's give away a microphone and grow on social.
All stations. This is launch control. Crew is locked and ready. Stand by for terminal count. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition confirmed. We are go for launch. We have liftoff. Taking creativity to the cosmos.